You ever feel trapped? Stuck in a life that just doesn't feel like it's really yours? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a really powerful framework drawn from the work of Jordan Peterson. Think of it as a guide to, leaving that script behind and finally starting the real adventure of your life.
This quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? We know our current situation is making us miserable. That soul-sucking job, that hollow relationship, we feel it every day. And yet we stay. Why? It's because that misery, as bad as it is familiar. The adventure of real change, that's just terrifyingly uncertain. But that's what we're talking about today. Taking that leap, taking that adventure, because honestly, it might be the only real path to a meaningful life.
Okay, so where does that feeling of being stuck even come from? A lot of the time, it starts with this nagging feeling of being, fake. Like you're just an actor playing a part, and you're trapped by what psychologists call a persona.
Now look, a persona isn't automatically a bad thing. It's actually a pretty necessary social tool. I mean, think about it. You don't really want the bank teller to unload their entire life story on you when you just ask, hey, how are you, right? We kind of need this functional shell for everyday interactions. The real problem pops up when that shell is all there is, and the actual person underneath is just left feeling totally desperate and disconnected.
And this is the trade-off right here. The persona, it's all about acting out a role so people will like you. It's about hiding all your insecurities. But any connection someone makes, it's with the mask, not with the real you. Authenticity, on the other hand, that means you have to confront your own inadequacies and you have to do it with humility. And yeah, that's painful, no doubt about it. But it's literally the only way to build a genuine connection with another human being. This whole idea is summed up perfectly with the story of Pinocchio, right? If you're just living as a persona, you're basically a puppet. So you've got to ask yourself two really important questions. First, who wrote this role I'm playing? And second, who's pulling my strings? Is it society? Is it social media? Is it just your own fear? Because if you can't answer that, then it's not your adventure. It's just a script that someone else handed you.
All right, so how do you actually cut those puppet strings? Well, it doesn't start with some big, grand, heroic gesture. It actually starts with a single, very humble step towards self-awareness.
And this is the classic paradox, the catch-22 of self-development, isn't it? If you don't have self-awareness, how in the world are you supposed to start building it? It feels completely impossible. But here's the thing. Peterson offers this surprisingly practical exercise that just cuts right through that whole problem.
Okay, so for this to work, you have to be genuinely open. Just sit down somewhere quiet, on your bed, whatever, and ask yourself these questions exactly. First, what is one thing I'm doing wrong that I know I'm doing wrong? Then you ask, is it something I could fix? And then the big one, is it something I would fix? Now, if you're really ready to listen, the answer will come to you. And fair warning, it's probably not going to be the answer you want, but it will absolutely be the one you need.
This quote is so profound. The idea here, which Carl Jung also talked about, is that we're always looking for answers in the wrong place. We want some grand, noble solution to fall out of the sky. But real, lasting transformation, it's found by looking down at the small, messy, imperfect things right in front of us, the things that are actually within our control.
So, that unwanted answer you get. Maybe it's something as simple as your room is a total mess, and your pride is going to scream, "Are you kidding me? I have way bigger problems than that." But think about it. If you feel like you're above organizing the little space that is actually yours, how are you ever going to organize the rest of your life? The journey has to start small. It starts with the one thing you can fix right now. Yeah, it might just start with taking a brush to the toilet.
Okay, so how does this scale up? How do you take this idea of small, humble steps and apply it to a massive, life-sized problem? Like, say, a job that's absolutely crushing your spirit. A lot of us have had this thought. It's painful. I feel undervalued and my work is meaningless. But here's the shift. That's not a fact. It's a problem that needs to be analyzed. Are you actually undervalued? Is the work truly meaningless? That feeling isn't the end of the story. It's the starting point for building a real strategy.
So you start taking strategic action. Step 1, you update your resume. And yeah, that's going to force you to look its inadequacies right in the face. Step 2, you build a credible plan to fix those weaknesses.
Then, you go out and test your value on the open market. You apply for other jobs to get some leverage. And only then, once you have evidence and a real plan, do you go in and negotiate. See the difference? You stop being a victim with a complaint and you become a professional with a solid case.
This quote, this is the whole game right here. It's about shifting your entire focus. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances, and you start building your own power. Even if the situation is genuinely unfair, you concentrate on the one thing you can actually control, your own competence. You work to make yourself so prepared, so damn good, that your negotiating position becomes undeniable. You literally become a force to be reckoned with.
So what's the point of all this hard work, all this struggle? You might think the goal is just, to be happy. But the real reward, it's something much, much deeper and way more resilient.
There is a really powerful story in the source material for this explainer. The host worked for years, struggling, building his company, and then it happened. The ultimate goal, a 9-figure offer to buy the whole thing. But instead of popping champagne, he felt nothing. Actually, worse than nothing, emptiness and dread. He'd reached the summit, looked around, and all he saw was a void. And that tells us something incredibly important about what actually drives us as human beings.
So this really breaks down two totally different visions of what a good life is. On one side, you've got happiness. Think Mai Tais on the beach. It's passive. It's kind of like being a giant infant who never has to struggle for anything. It's a state of unconsciousness, really. But on the other side, you've got meaning. And that's the complete opposite. It's the active, dynamic life of a warrior on an uphill climb, always pushing toward a horizon that keeps expanding.
And this quote gets right to the heart of how we're wired as people. Think about it. We experience the most profound positive emotions, that real enthusiasm, that deep sense of value, not when we hit the goal, but when we see ourselves making progress towards it. We are built for the climb. The real juice is in the journey, not just the destination.
So here's the bottom line. Happiness is great, don't get me wrong, but it's fleeting. It's like a nice gift you get sometimes. It's not a reliable shield against the suffering that's just part of life. Meaning, though, that is. A life that's dedicated to that uphill climb, to a noble pursuit, that kind of life can withstand incredible tragedy and hardship. That is the true antidote.
Which brings us to the final and maybe most empowering idea of all. The power to truly transform your life. It isn't out there somewhere. It's inside you. And embracing that power, that's the greatest adventure you will ever have.
Man, it is so easy to be envious, isn't it? You see someone with the fancy car, the perfect family on Instagram, and you think, they've got it all. But you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. You don't see their hidden catastrophes, their secret anxieties. Trust me, you don't want their fate. Your own adventure, with your own unique struggles and your own unique potential, it's more than enough. In fact, it's plenty. It is everything. But this whole adventure, this whole journey, it has one non-negotiable requirement, one tool you absolutely have to have, and that's truth. Speaking and living truthfully is the price of admission. Without it, you can't confront your own flaws, you can't build real strength, and you can't pursue a meaningful goal. You just stay a puppet, and the real adventure, it never even gets a chance to begin. And so, we're going to end this with a challenge, not a nice, tidy answer. A direct call to action for you. Just take a moment. Really, truly imagine the person you could be if you just stopped with the little lies. If you confronted your shortcomings head-on. If you aimed at the highest good you could possibly imagine for yourself. Picture that person. And then, aim single-mindedly at that. Because that is the adventure of your life, and it's just waiting for you to begin.